Checking connection. We're live over there.
We're live here, and we're live here.
Yeah, hey everyone!
Hello, ajuga!
Fran and Kevin are here at East Coast Financing with Brad Sullivan today.
How are you, everybody?
And we are going to listen to Brad share his amazing story. It's been a road.
It has been a road and a half, and you know what? I'll be honest with you. Like, people see where you're at now, and they think it's like, oh my God, you're an overnight success, and you don't actually think that you're even successful for the most part. Like, if somebody says, hey man, like, I see what you're doing out there, it's great, you're like, oh, cool. You know, like, you don't think about that all the time. I've had a few people in the last little bit, because I have some real estate and stuff like that, but that's not where I started. And last night I started actually thinking, because I have to, like, I gotta take a deep breath on it, like, because you actually have to sit back and reflect and be like, okay, let's go back to where it was that I guess my story comes from, right? And my story comes from pretty humble beginnings, that, like everybody else's. Like, it was really, really kind of normal there. Like, my parents are awesome. I fucking love my parents. So shout out to both my parents. You're not going to hear anything bashing about any family. It's not about that. It's not even anything that happened. Like, I love my parents. They're great for me. And I was actually, high honors in school and things like that. Up until a certain point, I was one of those kids that they were supposed to move me up in grades. So it was not anything like that set me off on my track. What kind of set me off of the rails, and I'll try and keep this a little bit shorter because I don't want to go on too long. I have a tendency to kind of do that. But so for me, I guess if I start thinking about it, it's when something happens in your life, that's kind of what dictates what you're going to be at that time, right? And for me, what was happening up until junior high, everything was peachy keen. Of course, I was just, your typical prepubescent, just waiting to flourish there, right?
Waiting to bloom?
Waiting to bloom. Come on. So, and what happened with me is I started experiencing a lot of people around me just passing away, but people that were my own age. And it started off with a friend of mine. Her name was Gina Smith, and it's my sister's best friend. And she was, what a beautiful soul she was. She is, to this day, like, what an amazing person. She had breast cancer, I believe it was, at 16.
Oh.
And she won Miss Teen Canada with a wig on. And she went to, I'm getting fucking goosebumps just talking about it. And she went on to Miss Teen Canada, yeah, that's what it was. And she got top 5 there. And you know what, like, just people can be nasty, and they cut her dress, and they did all kinds of bad stuff, which won't get into right now, because that's not what it's about. But that was the first thing, because I remember looking at her, and she had just had what is it, like cardiac arrest, when your heart stops. So she went into cardiac arrest, and she had to tell her dad. She said, next time it happens, like, don't bring me back, right?
Wow.
And at 16, like, I can't even fathom that now as a 35-year-old man.
Wow.
Like, 16 years old to say that. And what an old soul. So she ended up passing away, unfortunately. And then probably about a year to the day, there was another, like, I got a tattoo for this fella here on my arm, but he was just my buddy's younger brother, and he got hit by a car. Somebody was just, fucked up driving, and they ended up hitting him. And
Jesus.
so that stuff happens, but when it happens in your household, and this is where it kind of took the shift for me. I was still, a good kid and whatnot, but my mom ended up getting breast cancer, and that was probably the defining moment for what happened with me kind of next, right? If this was the movie, that would be where it's just like fucking, you see the guy just kind of like spaz the fuck out. And my grades went to shit. I was selling drugs. I was doing everything that you could think about doing. I wasn't going to school, and And I remember one girl saying to me one time, and I always remember, Kara Harnish is her name, right? We were friends since, well, friends, acquaintance, whatever. Anyways, I'd known her since elementary school, and she said to me one time, she said, because I said I didn't know a question in math, and she's like, Brad, why are you fucking pretending like you don't know the answer? She's like, we all know how smart you are. And I fucking, you know what, I didn't say it, but I wanted to tell her, like, you don't really know, you see the outer shell, but you don't know what's going on in the inside. It was like, my mom was dying of cancer, my dad was there with her, dying, watching his love of his life die. And, you know, you go home to a place with no food in the cupboards, and both parents, like I said, I loved them to death, but they weren't there because they had, someone was dying within our home, right? So that's kind of what was going on the inside, but the outer shell, I was just exploding, right? And my mom did come around, so I'm, you know, happy to say she is alive today. And it was a long, bumpy road, but by the time she came around, I was fucked. I was carrying a gun. I was running around, and you know, I've had guns pulled on me. I've pulled guns on people. I ended up ultimately going to jail for trafficking cocaine, having possession of firearms, and you know, I was up on more charges for home invasions and things like that, and my moral compass was just completely off. But for me, that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because I went in there with the attitude that I wanted to be in there, and then I was supposed to do 6 months in a minimum security, and I did 26 months in a maximum security.
Whoa.
Right?
Wow.
And when you see riots happening and you see shit, like, there's not the people that you're like, hey man, that guy's a bad dude. No, these guys are the guys that they've actually killed people, and you know, you might be next if you slip up. So I had a long fucking time to think there. At one point I was in solitary confinement for 11 months straight. And you know, I had a lot of time to think.
Yes.
I worked on doing the splits and getting flexible and doing stuff like that and working out, push-ups. You can only fucking do that so much, right?
Right? Yeah, wow.
So I got out. I had $210, as you guys seen in my post, to my name, and that's for a body bag. That I'm thankful. I'm not a religious man, but I thank, you know, the universe for looking out for me on that, because during that riot, that was something that I think that someone was looking out for me, because I wasn't supposed to make it through that one, right? I know that.
Wow, incredible.
So I got out, and I was just like, fuck, I had shit credit. I had no money. So I said, okay, what am I gonna do now? And my best friend, he's always been there for me. Shout out to him, Adam Spencer. Always been there. Man, he was right there at my side, my fucking wingman, my best man at my wedding to this day. So like, and he just helped me get on that proper path. And I've always looked up to him. And it's so good to have somebody, even if they're not an actual mentor or a coach, it's good to have people in your corner to look up to. And if you look around you, and the sum of the 5 people that are in the room, they're not what you want to be, well then you need to move. You need to grow, because you won't expand if you're in that place with those people. You will become those people. You're a product of them. So once I figured that out, I went out to the oil rigs, I got my credit back on point, I bought a house, I bought another house, came back. You know, today, I own a trailer park in Digby. I'm the general manager of a very progressive, forward-thinking company. Shout out to East Coast Financing for giving me a home. I'm a team lead here, and I have so many people that are underneath of me that are just the same thing. We're just progressive, we're forward-thinking. You don't need to have all the experience in the world, and I'm a product of not having the say credentials, but having the drive. And you know, motivation is something that can come and go, but if you are driven there's nobody that will stop you on this planet. And people that are driven, they're special people because they're seeing things not outside of the box. They're seeing things that people haven't even drawn yet. They don't even know what the fuck those people are talking about. That's why sometimes you'll come across a little bit fucking weird. If you have the drive, you're going to be able to do whatever it is that you want in life. And I am a prime example of that. Like I said, I've got a beautiful family now. My wife is a fucking, you know, she's an amazing person. I have 2 beautiful children. You guys just met my puppies.
We met your puppies. There's lots of them.
Nacho,
Beautiful.
Panda, those are my kids, right? But yeah, it takes a lot of just dedication, and I don't want to be the person that says, you know, like the typical, oh, you just got to do this. But what I find is that if you're able to see past the curve and stay consistent with that, that's when you're going to see real change, right? I see so many people, they say, oh my God, hey, fuck, Fran, I see you working out and I want to work out like you do. Fuck, I'm going to do it. I'm getting kettlebells, I'm getting bands, I'm going at it. Today is my fucking day. They buy the stuff, they do this, they either get the gym membership or whatever they do, and then they stop. Right?
Yeah.
You have to take the small incremental steps.
That's right.
If you want to be that 1% better,
That's right.
that's what you have to do,
Yeah.
right? It's not about just going 0 to 100 and then taking 1% every day. It's about doing 1%, just taking your diet and tweaking it. Okay, I was doing a little bit better today.
That's
a little
right.
bit better
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
A little bit
A
better.
We
little
call
bit
it, at ajuga, we call it mental strength. Instead of using the term mental health,
Yeah.
we put on some of our stuff, mental strength, and what we're saying there is to be just a touch better than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
And at the end, it works out to a big increase, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
you're right, like Fran does it, her consistency,
Oh man.
And that's
she's
yeah.
bang on, and I'm looking forward to, she's got a YouTube channel coming out soon.
I love
yeah,
it.
underway.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
under- yeah,
Shout out to
yeah,
Fran.
Yeah,
Ah,
You know, this is
working.
about Brad today, not Fran.
That's right. It's
Thank
about
you.
all of us.
It's about all of us.
It's about growing,
Thank you both,
right?
yeah.
As humans. So I love it,
Yeah,
though, right?
yeah, but that's the key though, is consistency. Show up every day
Yeah.
and just do that little bit more than you did yesterday. And
100%,
you will be better eventually, you know, and then you will get that big, wide, like just success that will come, right?
100%.
Yeah, and if we can share that with everyone, like you have just shown that you were in the trenches, you were almost out.
I dug the
But
fucking
yeah,
trench.
You
today.
dug that trench, and you just built yourself right back out, just one step at a time, and
That's it.
like a testament to you. That was incredible that you were able to go through that and be where you are today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're honored that you had, you wanted to share a story with
For
us
sure.
today. Like this is great for.
I'd like to ask a question. What's your daily reminders? I'm gonna guess a guy like you has to have. So I don't know if you're familiar, but I have addiction issues, and I've overcome some stuff in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And I find I need to be on my game daily.
Yeah.
And just give us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Well, I find routine for me, like, and going to bed, like I go to bed very early. I go to bed extremely early because for me, nothing good comes at night. So I wake up about 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and I just start going. But to have that routine first thing in the morning, I find is something that is so crucial because that's what it does. It gives you that, that set path. You're like, okay, I'm going to do this, and that's where your consistency comes from to make the curve that you're going to be able to see over, right? Because you got to be able to make that curve too. So for me, I just get up and I just know that I'm here to do something special, and I'm here to make a change. I only have this one life. I fucked up for a few years, but that doesn't have to be what's going on for the rest of my life. So when I wake up in the morning, whether I want to get up or not, I just start moving. I go down, do the same thing. I have my glass of water, put the coffee on, sit down with my book, whatever book I'm reading, start on whatever project is that I'm starting on, and do some breathing exercises, a little bit of meditation, me work. That's kind of why I get up so early. And that keeps me really focused.
I respect
right?
that. Yeah, that's huge.
I find if I miss that,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that you guys can agree, I find that if I miss that, then the rest of my day, if I miss it for a couple weeks, like, and you just like, oh, I'm too busy to do that right now.
Yeah.
you're not the same person.
No, you're not. And I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Routine is key. Routine consistency will make you.
100%.
You are.
I
Yeah.
fully agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you, the same train of thought, right?
Absolutely.
Like it's
She's
all
the
like.
same thing. She's
yeah.
up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Ajuga, baby.
Yeah.
Right? I was just meant to be here with
That's
you guys.
right.
I
Oh,
love it.
100%, 1,000%.
I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, this is fantastic. We're so glad that you were able to share your story, and I love that you give props to your parents.
Yeah.
You know, even though they went through the most difficult of difficult things, but you still have that respect, right?
100%.
And you love them to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
have
love
to,
that,
right? You
yeah.
have to love family for, they're like, family is who you can get the maddest at.
True.
And it's who you can sometimes treat the worst, but they are the ones that are there for you. So you ultimately have to, forgive and move on, and just know that you guys are there for each other in the end, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yes, well, thank you for having us. Did you have
Yeah.
any more questions?
I think
for
I'm
Brad?
good. I
Yeah.
think that was awesome. Thank you so much, Brad.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah,
Now you're
thank-
up to date.
Yeah,
I'm
you're-
Brad Sullivan, right?
Thanks to East Coast Financing for letting us do this here today.
Yeah,
And
in
thanks
the
for
boardroom.
everyone. Yeah, and we'll
Yeah.
we'll post all this for those that weren't able to make it today, and they'll see it later.
Awesome.
This evening. Thanks, Brad. We appreciate
Mental
you.
strength.
See
Yes,
ya.
woo!
That was good.
Awesome.
We'll just sit here and just smile awkwardly
Ex-
until you
except
figure
for
it
the
out
top.
there.
Yeah,
Right?
hit the
except
button.
At the top there, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
don't,
now,
but leave it there, and I'll take.
And now?
yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah.
So
You're still
the
recording, but that's fine.
am I still recording?
I think
There
so.
we go.
It's okay.
It's all
So
good.
the